All right, so right now, I don't have to tell you guys this. I mean, I'm not even a real estate agent, so I definitely don't have to tell you guys this. But selling houses right now is hard, right? There's a lot of work to it. All right, you guys have to constantly find clients. You are always looking for people that'll engage you, right? And then even once you have a client, the process of getting the listing ready, preparing the house for sale, all that stuff is really hard, right? Real estate agents have really hard jobs, right? I don't have to tell you guys that. The reason why you guys are here, hopefully, is so we can learn ways. Okay, I won't be as loud. We better for the people in the front row. So the reason we're here is so we can show you ways that you could use technology to make your lives easier, right? And now, like, let's look at what we have to go through now in real estate right now, right? So cold calls. How many of you have made a cold call before?
Before,
right? Okay. So cold calls, you know, it's shocking. I love reading real estate books. Even relatively recent books, they still tell you make cold calls, but now what they tell you to do is make lots of them. You know, cold calls, waste of time. There's so many different ways you guys could fish for clients, and most of these ways are a waste of your time and a waste of the client's time. And then they end up leading to these sort of unproductive, uncomfortable meetings, right? You meet people, they're not really all that interested. Somehow you twisted their arm into meeting you. And it makes for sort of an unpleasant experience for everybody. And ultimately what it does is it wastes everybody's time, right? You're wasting time looking for clients. If you find a client, you're often wasting time when you're trying to get the house ready for sale. You're wasting time with inefficient disclosure processes. You're wasting time doing things that you could have a real estate virtual assistant do for you. Right now, our daily practice in real estate is full of wasted time. So I'm going to show you how we can integrate all the stuff we have together and not waste so much time and really, make life easier on you. So in 2018, there's ways we can use technology as a friend. Now, it's funny because we've had a lot of technology snafus today, so technology is still good. But when it comes to real estate, though, the technology is actually pretty good. You just have to know how to use it. And the reason why the real estate technology can help you is that the process now, in many respects, can be automated. So much of what we do, from finding clients, to preparing houses for sale, to getting the house on the market, so many things now can be automated that couldn't have been automated before. So all you really need to do, if you want to be a successful real estate agent using the latest in technology, is you need a computer, you need a phone, and probably, I would say, some coffee. By the way, there's coffee over there. Anyone who needs it to stay through this presentation, it's on me. Coffee over there. Speaking of technology. Okay, so how do you do it? So how do you integrate all the different technological tools we've talked today into coming up with a cohesive package that will help you sell houses and help make your lives a little bit easier? So the first thing, and one of my favorite things, is Facebook, right? So Facebook or social media advertising. How many of you guys have Facebook business pages? Okay, so 60%, okay. How many of you guys have used Facebook advertisements? Excellent, okay, so a lot. So Facebook or other social media tools are great because, number one, they're very targeted. So you're able to reach the type of people that would be interested in your services. It's much more targeted. I was at the supermarket the other day. I saw a real estate agent's ad at the back of a shopping cart. But it was on any of your, a real estate agent ad at the back of a shopping cart. Like, who does that now? Like, who needs to advertise at the back of a shopping cart, right? That was a waste of your money. They probably spent a lot of money on it. People are just trying to get some eggs and go home. Like, they don't want to see your ads, right? But Facebook is targeted to people that are interested in your services. So Facebook or other social media platforms are a way of reaching people that are interested in your services. And what it does is it generates inbound leads. It generates people that want to speak to you. And so these inbound leads are special, number one, because they came to you, you don't have to find them. They could find you at night, they could find you on weekends, they could find you when you're sitting here drinking wine, they can find you when you're with your kids. They're finding you all the time. This stuff is always working for you. And the other thing that's great about it is the psychological component. When someone finds you, they're invested in having the relationship with you work, right? Because they found you. They don't want to think of themselves as buffoons finding some terrible agent. They want things to work with you. But when you reach out to them and you're pleading with them to meet you, it's different. Now they're on the defense, right? Because they're like, oh, well, I don't know, this is some random stranger who just came up to me at the back of the grocery store. But now these people found you, so they want to engage with you. Luke Hovey, who's over there, he's going to talk to you a bit about much more than I could ever explain about how to create your presence online. So into much more detail other than to say, these inbound leads are the best. He's going to show you how to do it, and that's the way to get your clients. Now, what do you do once you have the clients, right? Or once you have interest? So a client finds you on social media, they find you wherever, they find you on Facebook, they find you through Google, whatever. They go to your website, they go to your Facebook page, they go somewhere and they find you. Now these people want to engage with you, right? Now, they don't want to hear from you tomorrow. They don't want to hear from you tonight. They don't want to hear from you when you're done dropping your kids off from school. They want to hear from you right away. But can you be by your computer every minute? No. I mean, I feel like I am, but you're really not, right? You can't be by your computer every minute. You have to sleep some of the time. So that's where chatbots come in. So Michael gave us a great talk about chatbots, and there's so many great ways of using them. You can use them the way he was describing with the service on your phone, which is incredible, because there you can use anywhere you go. And you can also use them attached to your websites, right? So if someone goes to your website or your Facebook page or anywhere else, they can get immediate engagement. Now, I don't know how many of you know millennials. It looks like some of you guys are millennials, but they don't want to waste time, right? They want immediate response. They're used to like Amazon Prime Now kind of stuff, right? So if you engage with someone quickly, if you're the first person who touches them, like Michael said, there's a very good chance that you will then be their real estate agent, right? So use something like chatbots so you can engage with people right away. Then that can lead to successful client meetings, right? They found you, they're emotionally invested in you because they discovered you, right? So you must be pretty good. And you responded to them right away, and then you have a meeting and it's a successful meeting. But when you go to these people, how do you pitch yourself to them? How many of you have a binder with like papers of like stuff you've done? Okay, you don't have to raise your hand. Like, I won't put you on the spot. But how many of us, I've seen this, look, I've sold a couple houses. They come down, we meet, you know, it's nice. And then they drop this huge binder, a huge binder full of houses and things they've sold in front of me. Is that compelling? No, I mean, not to me at least, I don't know. I mean, I don't quite fit in the millennial demographic, but I don't find that compelling. It's too antiquated. It doesn't really work. So what you want to do is you want to be able to show these people that you mean business and that you're going to get their house sold properly. So I'm going to show you one simple step that's going to help you win clients from when you meet them as prospects, and at the same time it's going to save you work once you sign them as clients. And this is my shameless bit of self-promotion here, so I apologize. But let's just take a step back and let's look at right now, what is it that we do when we have a client? Let's imagine now you've met someone and you have a client, right? So you go to their house and you do the infamous walkthrough, right? So how many of you, I'm sure you've done this, you walk through, you've got a clipboard, you're going through the house, you're like, well, you know, we really, you know, the wall's not going to work. The purple walls, it's just not going to work. This green shag carpeting, it's got to go, right? How many of us have done this? We're walking in someone's house, we've got our clip. Have you guys done this? I've got someone there. Yeah. How many of you have seen green shag carpeting? So this
Orange.
is
I have it in my own home.
You have it. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. No, nothing wrong with it. All right, so we've all done this, right? We find a client, we're walking through their house, we've got our clipboard, and we're telling them what's wrong with their house, right? Not so great, it's uncomfortable. Then you have to try to convince them to change what's wrong with their house, right? And in the process of doing it, you have to make all these phone calls back and forth to the client, to the client's spouse and partner. There's a lot of uncertainty, like what are you going to do? You know, say you decide you're going to paint your house, right? So you want to paint the house something. What color? Gray, right? Let's say you want to paint it gray, it's the same color, smoke. So you want to paint it gray, you know, it's a nice neutral color, right? Mist. But I tell you, there's a lot more than 50 shades of gray, right? There's a lot. And so when you're trying to go back and forth with these with these sellers, and you're trying to say, oh, we'll just paint it gray, then you have to go back and forth and figure out what color to do it. It's painful. So it leads to a lot of aggravation and delays, right? You're pulling your hair out, they're pulling their hair out, it's not fun. But now there's a better way. And the better way is visionary remodels. That's our product. Visionary remodels. And what that does is it comes up with a custom recommendation that's made instantly that works for the client's house about how they should prepare the house for sale to maximize the sale price. So imagine this instead. You go to the house, maybe it's a prospect, for example. Maybe you haven't even signed them yet. You go through and you walk through the house. You have the Visionary Remodels. You have the Visionary Remodels app there. You take some pictures of the house, right? Answer a few questions, and then right away you have a remodel plan. And instead of the binder of papers that no one wants, you pull out your iPad or your phone, and you say, look, you know, Mr. Prospect or Mrs. Prospect, I want to be your agent. I already have a plan for how we can get your house ready for market. That's going to get you top dollar. I've got that plan right here. Here it is. You can show them. They don't even have to be your client yet. You can show them this plan, right? And then you could also say on top of that, I even have people that will do the job for you. How powerful is that? If you haven't signed the prospect yet, you show them something like this. It shows you mean business. You already have the prospect. You have a client now already. You show them this, and it saves all the aggravation and all the picking colors and the finding people and the this and the that, because it's all done for you. It makes everybody happy and your life easier. So we figure out things like paint, decluttering, flooring, if this is relevant. We don't recommend this for all houses. It has to be relevant. Flooring, fixtures, we even find inspectors, tradespeople, everything. It's all right there for you. Isn't that better? Isn't it better to rely on a computer algorithm that's already looked at neighborhood houses, knows what's selling well in your neighborhood, and makes specific recommendations, rather than you having to go through and tell him he's got to take away his green shed carpet, right? Now it's not you, it's the computer that's telling them. And it shows that you mean business, and it has a lot of legitimacy. All right, so you've got the house ready, right? It looks beautiful. That's a nice house, right? Did you buy this house? No? Dark gray. Too dark? It's not smoke.
I need 3 cars, garage.
Yes. Actually, this color is softer. I like it. But. All right, so you have the house. You have it up for market, right? It's a beautiful house. Everything's ready to go. So now you're sending out your disclosures, right? So Adam gave us an incredible talk about Disclosures.io, right? So Disclosures.io, as you heard from him better than I can explain, is an easy way that you can get the disclosures together, send it out to all the different agents who might be interested, and you could use it to gauge interest in your property. So you could use that information to figure things out like, well, when should we take offers? Is there really much interest? You know, you could even get a sense about maybe whether the price is too high or too low. This is useful stuff, right? And Disclosures.io will provide this for you. So there's no reason anymore to send these huge PDF documents. There's no reason to do this other stuff. We use Disclosures.io. Adam's right here. If you have any questions, you can ask him about it. Incredible stuff, and you're supporting a local Bay Area company. But you use this. When you have a beautiful house like this, it deserves a beautiful disclosure packet, right? Right? All right. So you send it out. So now let's look at how we can put all these pieces together. Yep, that's my time. I'm talking too long. Are you on call? No, thank God. All right, so the idea here is you want to work smarter, not harder. So JR gave us a great talk about how we could integrate everything together using Google, right? Now, I've started using Google too. I've been a long-time Apple person. I just thought it was bad stuff, but I've been using it now. I got a Chromebook. You can see it over there, $250 at Best Buy. Best investment I got. But you can use integrated things like Google, and it talks to each other in a very seamless way, and to a lot of these other products. And it makes your life so much easier. On top of that, you use virtual assistants, right? Where's Pauline? There's Pauline there. Use virtual assistants. There's so much stuff that we do that either takes too much time, and it sucks your time away from something you could be doing better. It takes too much energy, right? You don't know how to do it, right? There's a lot of stuff, I mean, we don't really know how to do. We don't know how to do that well. But there are virtual assistants out there. They'll do the stuff that we don't have the time for. They'll do the stuff that we don't have the energy for. And they'll even do a lot of stuff that we don't know how to do because they do. These are people, the people with my outdesk that work with Pauline, these are people that are actually trained to do all kinds of crazy, amazing real estate stuff, technology, and she'll tell you all the stuff they do, but they do a lot of great stuff. So use virtual assistants and an automated office to make your life easier. And then your house is sold. Right? One seamless process.
I think you missed a key step. Wouldn't you want to use Visionary Remodels to create a rendering and then put it up on a virtual tour cafe, single property website, so that when you make the presentation to the seller, it's signed right there?
Yeah, so actually,
check is on the mail, JR.
and I'm actually glad you mentioned that because, you know, I undersold him, but, you know, Virtual Tour Cafe will take pictures you've already taken, even pictures that are already on the MLS, right? And it's able to convert them into 3D virtual tours. You don't need fancy cameras or Matterport or one of those robots that goes through, like you've seen those robots that go through the house. You don't need that stuff. They're able to do that service for you, right? So there's a lot of great ways you can use technology to make the sale. All right, so let's quickly review. What is it that you need to do in an easy way to use technology to sell houses? This is the only wordy slide. I apologize. I tried not to use. I don't like to use it. But there is a cool car. So I figure that makes up for the words. Right? Cool car, race car. All right, so what do you do first? You find people, right? You find these people with Facebook or other social media tools, right? You find these people with social media, you get inbound marketing. These people are interested in your services, right? They found you, they want to use you, and then what do you do next? You engage with them immediately. You engage with them immediately using chatbots, right? You don't waste time, you don't lose them to your competitor down the street because you engage them right away. And you use visionary remodels, and you use them in order to either win clients by showing them that you mean business and you've already come up with a remodel plan for their house, or you use it to make their life easier once you have the client by coming up with a remodel plan without all the back and forth and give and take and everything else. And then once that's all done, you use disclosures.io, you send the disclosures out, you find out how interested people are, you find out who really wants to buy your house, you get a good sense about whether you should be taking offers now or later. It makes the whole process smooth. All right, and we're going to have our next Real Estate Tech Expo April 28th. April 28th in San Francisco. I hope you guys are able to come back here for that. And we'd love to see you. It'll be even bigger than this one, although the coffee won't be as good. All right, so I think I've taken up enough time. Any quick questions for me?
Can you talk a little bit more about visionary remodels?
Sure. So what we do is we use a computer algorithm that looks at neighborhoods and what things are being done that are successful in neighborhoods. And based on that and information that we gather from the app, like the pictures and the questions we answer, it comes up with a plan that makes sense for how to remodel the house. So if the house needs painting, it'll suggest you need painting. It'll specifically suggest like what colors to paint it, like very specifically.
So specifically, couldn't you take a front picture of the house, upload it in your product, create a rendering, put it on a single property website, and go into a listing presentation and say, hey, this is what I think you could do with your property?
Potentially, it's a great idea. That's a great idea. I mean, a lot of the pictures that are uploaded now are the before pictures, so they're not always the hottest ones. Just they're pictures that agents think need to be improved. But it definitely would be a great way to show that it's easy to make these virtual 3D tours with companies like Virtual Tour Cafe. Yeah.
So you have an app, you take pictures of the house, do you have like bids and what you got your suggested changes, does it come with bids on how much it's gonna cost or?
I wish I had planned to do them, they didn't, but I wish they did. So what'll happen is we'll send you our suggestions, and it's labeled as if it had come from you. So it'll have your name, your real estate agent, everything on it. And then you show it to the client, and then the client can then look at this and then decide what they like, what they don't like. So say, for example, it recommends that you paint and change the flooring, for example. The client may say, okay, I'm totally up for painting, I'll take your suggestion, there's no way I'll do any flooring, right? Too much money. So what'll happen then is you click on the thing that you want to paint, and then what we'll do is we will then find for you a painter who's available now in the time frame you're looking, who wants to paint the house and will do the job for you. We work with third-party companies that confirm the licensing and things like that. Yes.
Can it also be used from the buyer's perspective, where the buyer is asking perhaps, how much would this ceiling and these walls cost? And so we don't have an answer.
Yeah, so you could potentially do it from the buyer's perspective also, because a lot of times people look at an ugly house and they have trouble kind of visualizing what you could do with the house, right? They get distracted by the green shag carpeting, they're not sure what to do inside. They're not sure what to do with it.
Watch it.
I know, I'm sorry. No, actually, I love shell card. I'm making fun of it, but actually, if I could take care of it, I would wish like that. It's just too much work. But, you know, so you could actually use it on the buyer side too, and show the buyer, you know, this is what we can do, this is how we can make the house look good, these are the different steps. I haven't pushed it so much for buyers only because it makes the house sort of generally palatable, whereas sometimes people have specific things, you know. So, for example, if you're moving in a house and you just love purple walls because that's your thing, I'd tell you like, go make a purple house, you know. But if you're trying to sell your house, purple is probably not not your best choice. But it definitely is something you could use, and it's a free service, so it doesn't hurt to use it. All right. Well, I'm going to exit the stage here, and Luke Hovey is going to come up here in just a minute. And then don't forget, if you guys have to leave, please do the evaluations before you go.